Today on Old Head Hoops, we're talking about the argument, the GOAT, right? We're talking about LeBron, we're talking about Jordan, but we're going to kind of look just over their shoulder and look at the teammates that both of Jordan and LeBron had for their entire careers, specifically for their championship years. And we're going to compare and contrast the quality and the quantity of quality teammates that each of those players had. I think today's episode is going to be well received in the hobby, and not just in the sports card hobby, but by basketball card historians and observers alike. So hopefully you guys enjoy two old head guys talking about hoops. Are you tired of selling your cards on eBay, creating the listing, taking the pictures, front, back, shipping, non-paying bidders? Let the pros at Fanatics Marketplace do all of the work for you. I do. That's why I use Fanatics for my vaulting and for my selling. If you've got a bunch of unwanted inventory that you've been sitting on for days, weeks, months, years, ship it to Fanatics Marketplace and let them do all the work. Just make sure when you ship it, you use the promotional code Cajun, all capital letters, CAJUN, and tell them that Cajun Cardboard sent you, and let the pros do the rest at Fanatics Marketplace. Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with another episode of Old Head Hoops. I've got the great coach Jonathan Pixley coming at you from his single floor dwelling somewhere in Northern California with a beautiful brick fireplace and a piano that I'm sure you've mastered. Welcome to the show as usual.
Yep. I just got done with my third piano lesson of the day. I will be shortly. I'll be on stage shortly, probably somewhere in New York, I imagine.
Yeah. Are you giving the lesson or are you taking the lesson? That's what she said.
Oh, I don't take anything. So yeah,
that's what he said.
I'm always giving the lesson. Yeah.
Good. Today's topic, before everybody stops watching and listening, is an awesome one, and it's a long debated topic in the hobby. By the way, we're gaining some traction, man. We're getting some views on these videos. I think it's misleading thumbnails, maybe, I don't know, or maybe titles. You know, I think the title to this one might be "Squirrel Jumps Off Empire State Building and Lives."
Yeah.
But the video is not going to be about that. Of course, it's going to be about Michael Jordan's teammates versus LeBron James' teammates.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and get this issue over and done with, I think, once and for all. I think we're probably going to be on the same page. I kind of had a hunch, Jonathan, and then I did, I think you did a little more research than me, but I did some research, and it's I just don't think people understand the disparity. I just don't think they do.
That is the key to the argument, is that there is absolutely no argument. It's not. Okay. It's even the thing is it's even further. Okay, the way you and I view the Jordan LeBron debate is that there's no question it's MJ. Okay, this you can't argue.
This should not be brought up. Yeah,
that's right.
No LeBron. Yeah, this is a big, fat, juicy green check mark in the Jordan column. So let's do this. So today's episode is not going to be who had better teammates. Yeah. It's going to be how much better were LeBron's teammates than Jordan's. How about that? Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's go. Let's just start kicking off. How do you even want to attack this from the beginning? Let's do this. Let me give you my list. Let me give you my list of Jordan's best. Let's just say 5 for right now. Jordan's best 5 during his championship years, and then I'm going to give you LeBron's best 5. Is that fair?
Yes, and we do have to take into account that Robert Parrish, for example, doesn't count for Jordan because Robert Parrish was 55 years old when he played.
Okay, I'm glad you're getting that out of the way. Yeah. So Robert Parrish, it's not Hall of Fame Chief Robert Parrish. Correct. Just like we're not going to get, we're not going to say, hey, LeBron had Shaq and LeBron had Brandon Ingram when he was like 15 years old. I'm not gonna go too much into that stuff either because that is also not fair. Obviously, LeBron had Shaq on the Cavs. He had Dwight Howard on the Lakers. Yeah. Still a relevant player, but not prime defensive player of the year, right? So we're not going to hang that on them. So let's just do this. Let me start with, who do you want to start with, LeBron or Jordan? I'll read my top 5.
Well, you can. Let's go with Jordan. That's fine. Go with Jordan.
Okay, let's do each list separately, and then we'll merge them and figure out where people fit, and then we'll take it even a step further because, naming 5 teammates over a decade or over a 6 or 7 or 8 year period is not enough. You need more than 5, total teammates. You need to go 10, 15, 12 deep to win titles. So let's go best to worst for Jordan first. Scottie Pippen, no question, not an argument. Second, it's a little bit of an argument, but I personally, even though it was towards the tail end of his career, I would go Dennis Rodman second. Yep. I would go Tony Kukoc third. I would go Horace Grant fourth, and then dealer's choice. You ran into the same freaking brick wall that I did. I got it narrowed. I think I narrowed it down to 3: Ron Harper, Luke Longley, and Paxson.
You could either pick a white spot up shooter. And I count B.J. Armstrong in that category.
We could put B.J. Armstrong in the list, in the mix.
No, I'm saying like of just spot up shooter.
Oh, because he's white?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And then or you could take some wing, Orlando Woolridge, Ron Harper. Anyhow, you see where you're going here, regardless. There's no
we're on the same page. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a number 5. And Horace Grant is not exactly we went brick wall. And Horace Grant is not exactly, the Grim Reaper at number 4, bringing the force and bringing the fury. He was sort of a little, can I say this? He was sort of a little bitch, right?
Yeah.
He was a little bit, he stirred drama a little bit. And he was kind of the baby that the Pistons picked on. And was only after, I think, MJ threatened his life that he sort of turned the corner, and then they kind of got past the Pistons and never looked back. So Pippen, Rodman, Kukoc, and then it's a pretty big drop-off. And I'll be honest with you, when we look at LeBron's list, Kukoc is going to seem like a drop-off on LeBron's list as well. So let's go to LeBron's list. Yes. And this is where we may not disagree on the same. We may not agree on the same order. Dwayne Wade is number 1 for me.
Yes.
Okay, and I know you don't like Anthony Davis, so even if he was number 1, you wouldn't put him first. I have Anthony Davis 2, Kyrie 3, Kevin Love 4. Yes. You have the same order?
Yeah, I have the exact same order, in fact.
Okay, yeah. So Wade, Davis, Irving, Love. I think arguments could be made that the best Kevin Love in Minnesota is better than the best Kyrie Irving we've ever seen. I think you could make that argument.
Maybe.
I think you could make an argument that the best Ray Allen in Seattle and Milwaukee is better than Kyrie Irving or maybe even Kevin Love. I don't know.
The other angle we need to think about is Kevin Love in Cleveland, was he better than Chris Bosh in Miami?
Damn, that's a good point.
Clearly there wasn't what. If you look
I screwed it up. I don't even have Bosh. I have Bosh as a teammate. When I was doing the top 5, I completely overlooked Bosh. I would have Bosh in for what Bosh was in Miami. I would have him ahead of Ray Allen and Russell Westbrook for sure.
But not Kevin Love.
But
right, it's what and what. It's what and what, really.
No, I think I would. I would have him better ahead of Kevin Love.
Better.
That would be a very good comparison. I've got some stuff on Basketball Reference we're going to pull up and look at together. So Bosh is in the mix too. So I guess the first glaring difference between these, without going 20 deep, right? We're back into your bedroom with your piano. Without going 20 deep, we're only going like 6 or 7 deep. The big drop off is, well, let's just go Pippen versus Wade. What and what? Is it a toss-up, or you think Wade's clearly better?
Dwayne Wade was a better player than Scottie Pippen. And
you think Dwayne Wade's a better player?
I think Scottie Pippen is one of the most overrated players in the history of basketball, and at the same time, simultaneously, arguably the greatest perimeter defender of all time.
Okay, so here's where I knew you were going, and I knew you would go there right away, and I want to look at it together, and I'm not saying I disagree. I already had this pulled up because I knew this was going to be the first topic of conversation, right? Because everybody's going to say, well, Jordan had Pippen. Nope, LeBron never had anybody like Pippen. Well, he didn't have anybody like Pippen, but he had Dwayne Wade, who was different than Pippen, but also a really freaking good player, right? So here's what we got. So I've done this. It doesn't make sense to compare their entire careers because we don't care about their twilights.
Correct.
We care about the years of servitude during their championship runs. So what I've got, it's not perfect for Pippen, and I want to make sure there's an asterisk on this because Pippen's numbers here, this is 1991 to 1998, which was Jordan's 6 championships, and then he took the year and 3/4 off. So Pippen had 2 years to accumulate the best stats of his career while Jordan was not there. So his usage rate, his touches, his field goals, all that stuff, right? All the things that come with being an alpha instead of being a clear-cut beta. So this is not apples to apples. It's like, it's like a Washington apple to whatever another kind of apple is, right? So Pippen's got 2 bonus years in here that are going to make him look a lot better. Yep. So this is Pippen, and then I've got Dwayne Wade just for the years that overlapped with LeBron in Miami, which was, what did I say?
2010 to 2012.
2013. No.
It was 4 years.
It was 4 years. It's the 4 years, right? And so that's why you'll see the 248 games. So, again, we're not comparing totals. We're going to compare averages, right, during their time of what we'll call servitude to their alpha, okay?
Right.
And so Dwayne Wade was a better scorer, clearly. And then Pippen is nasty. Obviously, we knew Pippen as an all-around player. He had the ball in his hands a lot more. The other thing is Jordan played in the triangle. LeBron played in the – what do you want to call that? What do we call what LeBron and Harden and Doncic and these guys play? What is that called?
It's the whatever the F you want to do offense. Yeah.
It is, but it's like it's effective, but what do we call it? Like it should be called the fulcrum. I like to call it the fulcrum offense because everything hinges on what that player with the ball decides for his team to do in that half-court offense, right?
Yes, correct.
So Jordan played in a triangle, and for those of you who don't know anything about the triangle, I'm not a triangle expert. I'm not Tex Winter, but I know that when they did convert from the give me the ball and get out of the way offense that Doug Collins was running to Phil Jackson's triangle, and that's part of the reason why Phil Jackson replaced him is because they were trying to take the load off MJ and use his teammates a little bit more. Jordan wasn't as I don't want to say he wasn't a central part of the offense because he led the league in scoring 10 times, but it wasn't like he had the ball dribbling it 25 feet from the goal in the middle of the floor and then was running pick and rolls with people.
He went from averaging 35 to 37 to probably averaging 30 to 32.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But it was more than that. It wasn't just his scoring went down. It was It was just a completely different brand of basketball that nobody had really ever seen to that point. Anyway, so Pippen versus Wade. I want to ignore this down here. I'm going to highlight it. Everything down here we need to ignore because we're talking about, double the number of years for Pippen, right? So it doesn't make any sense. So we're not going to compare awards, right? Pippen made wait, hold on. What did we say? Pippen during let me pull it up. Hold on. So while Pippen played with Jordan during those championship years, he made 4 All-Star teams out of the 6 championship years.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know Pippen never won Defensive Player of the Year?
He didn't, and it's ridiculous.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. He made 6. There's another statistic here that I'm sure you're going to get to, so I'll just say it real quick. That MJ only had 6 All-Star teammates ever in his career, and all 6 of them were Scottie Pippen.
That's right.
Right.
Now, when you say that, let's explain that, right? So go ahead and explain. I know what you mean, and I know that's correct. That doesn't mean Dennis Rodman didn't make an All-Star game. It means he didn't make an All-Star game while he was on Jordan's team. It doesn't mean that Robert Parrish didn't. It doesn't mean that, all these other guys, they did, right? By the way, here's a trivia question. Dennis Rodman, he played a bazillion seasons. How many All-Star teams did he make?
I think 2.
2?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
I had to go back and look at that. I was like, 2 All-Star teams? Yeah. It's like I would have expected like 5, 6, something like that. 2 All-Star teams.
Well, I think AC Green made 2 All-Star teams, for example.
Yeah.
And look, going back to that team, think about it. When you talk about the years, the really 20 months that Jordan missed, so ultimately 2 years.
Yeah.
Horace Grant and B.J. Armstrong both made the All-Star team the full year that he was out. So that was another argument for Pippen. I think Pippen finished 3rd in MVP voting that year, that 1 year. But then what people fail to mention
5th and 7th is what I'm seeing. No, 3rd and 7th.
Yeah. But then what people fail to remember is the following year, MJ came back with 40, 45 games left, right? No, I'm sorry, 26 games left.
Yeah, way less.
Yeah, when he came back, the Bulls were well under 500 and fixing to be out of the playoffs in Pippen's second year by himself. Okay, and he sat out of a pretty crucial moment that Tony Kukoc shoved up his rear end.
17 games Jordan got in that 94-95 season, John. 17. Only 17 regular season games. He came back to the tune of 27, 7, and 5. Was not shooting the ball very well, obviously, because he's been swinging a wooden bat. Shot at 41% clip, just was not himself. And then after that, of course, he came back with 49.5, 48.6, and 46.5 in the next 3 championship seasons. That 17-game stretch where he shot 41% was the worst stretch of his career. He shot better than that his first year back as a 38-year-old on the Wizards. So,
yes.
Obviously knocking the rust off and trying to be the best player in the NBA, it takes a little bit of time. So, and that's why the Magic got him, man. That's why the Magic snuck him that year. All right, we've talked enough about Pippen and Wade. You think it's clearly Wade. I think it's a lot closer than that. I am going to say it's what and what. I'm going to say it's a toss-up because Pippen was so relevant as a defender, and we have a tendency to be offensive biased, offensive centric. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and at least call it a toss-up.
Okay, but here's my issue, and that's fine. We can call it a toss-up because Pippen was a great player. There's no question. If you give Dwayne Wade those 2 years without LeBron in the middle, like Pippen had, okay, Dwayne Wade's averages probably go from 22 to 25 or 26. Because the dude was
I think they go to 30.
30. Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying overall for the years that he's with him, right? So I think that, because he averaged 28 to 30 every year, his field goal percentage probably goes up, all the things. And you got to keep in mind, he did have another offensive weapon to use, and that was Bosh. So that's another reason why his numbers were down, too.
That's a fair point. Pippen didn't have a Bosh. He had a Kukoc. Right. And I think clearly it's not even close. Bosh was a significantly better player than Kukoc. Again, I don't want to offend any of our international viewers. Right. Kukoc is in the Hall of Fame, but a heavy reason that Kukoc is in the Hall of Fame is his international career, right? Just as much as his NBA career, because his NBA numbers don't substantiate a Hall of Fame career. They just don't. Okay, so that was the first comparison I wanted to make, Jonathan. The next one I wanted to look at would be Pippen versus Anthony Davis, and then kind of make a decision there. And so I compared Anthony Davis has been with LeBron from 2020 till through the present. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 seasons, right? Is that right? 4 seasons?
Yep.
They won 1 title together, the bubble championship, of course. 25 and 11 for Anthony Davis on 53% shooting. As much as people don't like him, as much as you don't like him, as much as I don't trust the guy, Anthony Davis was, those in his years of service to LeBron with the Lakers, is a better player than Scottie Pippen. Now, if you get down to box plus minus and you get down to value over replacement, it's going to lean heavily towards Pippen. But let's keep going here. This is what I wanted to really focus on. And I know I'm not sharing. You got to tell me when I'm not screen sharing. When we go to offensive and defensive rating, look at Anthony Davis's offensive rating. This is, and just to be clear, what offensive rating is, it's an estimate of points produced or scored per 100 possessions. When Anthony Davis is on the floor, his team has a 120 offensive rating. When Pippen is on the floor, they have a 112 offensive rating. And again, eras, okay, so everybody's going to say different era. That's fine, okay? And then defensive rating, Pippen's is much better, so you got to make the argument era, okay? So if you're scoring less in that era, then you're also giving up less in that era, and we know the Bulls were not giving up very many. So it's a very close comparison. PER is something that transcends eras, okay? And so PER accounts for all of that stuff. It's the measure of a per minute production standardized, which means standardized, meaning take error out, it takes into account pace and all that, points scored and all that crap. And Anthony Davis is a significantly better PER than Scottie Pippen. Significantly better. Like 4 points in PER, 4.6 is a humongous difference. 4.6 on top of Pippen would be like the greatest players that have ever played the game. Just to put it in perspective.
By the way, explain to our viewers what VORP is.
Value over. You mean explain to you?
No. Explain it. Okay. Because I've got a reason for this. Go.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to read it. How about that? Value over. This is like 6th or 7th on my list of analytics that I actually look at. Right. And again, this is called old head hoops for a reason. I use analytics to break ties. I don't use it to create arguments.
Correct.
A box score estimate of the points per 100 team possessions. So that accounts for pace. That a player contributed above a replacement player, translated to an average team and prorated to an 82-game season. That sounds like a lot of contingencies and ifs and this. You multiply it by 2.7 and convert to wins over replacement. So a box score estimate of the points per 100 possessions that a player contributes above a replacement player.
Okay, so
this confuses me. Like, why would Pippen be 2.5 times Anthony Davis?
Because his backup was Judd Bushler.
Yeah, but it's an average replacement player.
I thought it was on their team.
No, I think it's an average replacement player because they've got a minus 2.0 player on there. So they're comparing them to an average player and they're putting them on an average team. So I think they're taking out teammates. Okay. But it's confusing to me. This is where young people can actually help us for once in America. A young person who understands value over replacement, please chime in here. I definitely am not an analytics guru. Like I said, I like to use it sometimes to break ties and understand things a little better. This seems weird to me because their box plus minus is like what and what, but their value over replacement, Pippen's is astounding. Like, it's insane. It's incredible. And his win shares are double. So maybe somebody could chime in and tell us what we're missing there, why Pippen's would be so much better than Anthony Davis's, when I think they're akin as players. I think Anthony Davis was a little bit better. Now, that doesn't mean he would fit. Doesn't mean he would fit the triangle better. Doesn't mean he would be a better teammate for Jordan than Pippen was, because I think Pippen was like peanut butter and jelly's perfect fit, right? And Anthony Davis is a great teammate for LeBron James too. Don't get me wrong. Unfortunately, they got 1 ring, not 6. Next comparison: Kyrie Irving and Pippen.
Yeah.
Do we need to talk about it?
No.
And again, this is just the 200 games that Kyrie Irving played with LeBron James. I know a lot of people think they were together a long time. They really weren't together that long, Jonathan. It was 3 seasons, and then he bolted for Boston, right?
Yep, they weren't.
Yeah, and that didn't go well. Pippen and Kevin Love. If we compared Kyrie, do we need to compare Kevin Love? No, it's Pippen. It's Pippen, okay? So Jordan's best teammate is probably better than – I say he's probably better than any teammate LeBron had, but – second, third, fourth is not even remotely. I don't even need to pull it up on Basketball Reference. Like, I do not need to compare any of these players with Dennis Rodman.
10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, yeah, all of them. But
that's where it gets really crazy. So that's what we're going to look at in a second. So is there anything else we need to look at here? And again, just to remind everybody, why are we not just looking at Pippen's career numbers? Well, because he played for the Blazers and he sucked. Why are we not looking at Russell Westbrook's career numbers? Well, because the MVP Russell Westbrook didn't play with LeBron James. It's the brittle, I shouldn't say brittle, but less explosive, less effective, Russell Westbrook that played with LeBron on the Lakers. Okay, so that's why we're not looking at just career numbers.
Let's talk about this real quick. Pippen went to the Rockets after the Bulls when they had Barkley and they had Olajuwon, and they actually had Drexler at the very beginning. And his numbers were probably not really, really far off, but they were definitely less than they were with Chicago. Obviously, with Portland, it was the same thing. Now, your argument for LeBron would be that, well, Pippen was getting older. Okay, that's fine. I got that. However, look at everybody else who played with LeBron at other points in their career. Kyrie Irving, statistically, is unquestionably better without LeBron. Statistically. Yep. Okay. Kevin Love, obviously.
Every player ever. Yeah.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah. Anthony Davis, obviously, was better. Like, all of those guys were better. You take, who had success after leaving Jordan, who apparently didn't pass the ball and make his teammates better? Who? Horace Grant went to Orlando. They got swept in the finals 4-0. The next year, the Bulls swept them after that, right? And then they were done. Steve Kerr went and jumped in with the Spurs and won a title as their 9th man. John Paxson retired. Name them. Kukoc went to Philadelphia, and I don't know what happened, right? So anyhow, my point is Scottie Pippen is the prime example as to why Michael Jordan didn't have better teammates, because he was the only one, and he sucked when he didn't play with Jordan in comparison to how he was with Jordan.
He finished 3rd in MVP voting, so let's relax.
No, when he didn't play, I'm talking about after he left.
Yeah. I know, but we know Prime Pippen would. Again, I don't think Prime Pippen would ever have won MVP, and I don't think Prime Pippen by himself would ever have won a title.
Okay. So then he's
Dwayne Wade did.
Dwayne Wade.
But Dwayne Wade did win a title without LeBron James.
Point.
That's right.
That's my point. And was Anthony Davis, and I know it's 1 year, not 6, but was Anthony Davis more important to their title than Scottie Pippen was to any of their 6?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question. Anyhow, go on.
That is a good question.
Yep.
So I want to go back to the point that you made, and it's the most shocking point that you could make is that Jordan, during Jordan's entire career, he played with one All-Star his entire career, and it's Scottie Pippen.
No, how about this? How many alphas did Jordan ever play with?
Yeah, none. Zero.
Now,
damn, I never thought about that.
Yeah, tell me,
he never played with an alpha.
Jordan didn't let him be an alpha.
To be clear, you don't mean an alpha to Jordan being the beta. You just mean there was never a player that was ever an alpha before or after.
Because Scottie Pippen didn't go somewhere else and become an alpha.
He was an alpha during the break, but that's it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And he was a failed alpha at that. Yep. So I've got a stat for you. You ready? And we're going to go back and we're going to look at a little bit closer at Rodman and Kukoc and stuff like that because there's a little bit more that we still need to talk about.
Yeah.
Rodman, did you realize that Rodman, he played with Jordan only for the second three-peat, all 3 years. He did not make an all-star team. He only made one all-defense team. So a lot of people project, the Bulls having like this stopper Rodman. That was not stopper Rodman. No. That was rebounder Rodman, where all he was focused on was rebounding the ball, shovel passing it, and let's get up the floor and go offensive rebound. He's a great rebounder, offense and defense. Don't get me wrong, very crucial. They probably don't win all 3 without him. But he made one all-defensive team in those 3 years, and he made no all-star teams in those 3 years. And when you pull up his numbers in the scoring category, they're not strong. But he was a good teammate for Jordan. He made it fit.
He couldn't move laterally in those last 2 years. And the other thing is people forget this. In the last finals when they played, Rodman didn't start most of those games in the finals. Kukoc.
I didn't remember that.
The reason why, because Karl Malone was destroying Rodman. And they were like, well, if he can't guard him, then why do we need to start him?
Did you know that Rodman was – I think a lot of people don't realize how old Rodman was for that three-peat. He was 34, 35, and 36.
Yep.
He's old, man. I didn't realize that. I didn't know he was that old, Jonathan. That 36-year-old rebounder. Like, you don't even hear that. You don't even hear that term. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
he wasn't treating his body very well either. So
no, he was. His body was probably 136. His brain is like 3.6.
Yeah.
All right. So I made a little note here on my deal that says all hell breaks loose at Jordan's number 5 all-time teammate. That's where all hell breaks loose. So I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to say, okay? Right. I'm going to do a list, and I'm going to call out LeBron's teammates that I know are better than – what did we decide? Ron Harper. We decided Ron Harper, Luke Longley, Paxson, Orlando Woolridge, or –
Bill Cartwright.
Whatever.
Yeah, whoever.
Cartwright, Stacey King, Luke Longley. I don't even know, okay? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dead serious, Jonathan. I don't know. So BJ Armstrong, you threw BJ in there. Okay, so I'm going to name players. You stop me when I get to a player that's not better than all of those number 5 options. Okay?
I'm going to run grab lunch, and then I'll be back.
Yeah. Ray Allen, Carmelo Anthony, Carlos Boozer, Chris Bosh, Jordan Clarkson, Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, Dwight Howard, old Dwight Howard even, Larry Hughes. Cavs Larry Hughes was not bad. Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Brandon Ingram as a child, Kyrie Irving, Richard Jefferson during his Cavs tenure, Kevin Love, Austin Reeves, Rajon Rondo, D'Angelo Russell, J.R. Smith on the Cavs. Yeah.
Way better.
Dwayne Wade and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I just named 20 players that LeBron played with that would be Jordan's 5th best teammate.
And you're not done either. You could keep going.
Okay, let's keep going then. I'm dead serious.
Go.
Avery Bradley, Tyson Chandler, Andre Drummond, Jeff Green on the Cavs, Juwan Howard on the Heat, probably not.
Nah, I don't think
DeAndre Jordan on the Lakers, probably not. Kyle Korver on the Cavs. He would be in the conversation.
Yeah, he played.
And that's what Paxson was. He was just do the caught and shoot.
Yeah.
Young Kyle Kuzma.
Yes.
Maybe, probably. Yeah,
yes.
Probably, dude. Rashard Lewis, Sean Marion on the Cavs. I don't remember how effective he was. He was old, but I don't know how old.
Yeah.
Jerry Stackhouse on the Cavs. Isaiah Thomas, little Isaiah Thomas, not the one that we hate, the other one.
Not on the
Probably
Cavs.
not. And then did you know he played with Ben Wallace?
I did. I did actually know that. Yeah,
yeah. LeBron has played with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, I don't like to use this because a lot of these dudes were fossils by the time they played with LeBron. But just to put it in perspective, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Unless I miscounted.
Now, out of those Hall of Famers, count the ones that were still at least somewhat productive with LeBron.
I did that already. Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
And I'm including Anthony Davis and Rajon Rondo as Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony on the Lakers.
Yeah. He's semi-productive.
Yeah. Ray Allen on the Heat.
Yeah, for sure.
Even more productive for sure. Bosch, clearly, prime. Anthony Davis, prime. Marc Gasol, probably past his prime. Dwight Howard, past his prime.
Kyrie.
I say past his prime, better than Luke Longley, but past his prime. Kyrie Irving, prime. Kevin Love, prime. Shaquille O'Neal, past. Rajon Rondo, I have him as a Hall of Famer. He's going to make the Hall, right?
For sure.
Did he already make the Hall?
Michael Cooper's in the Hall of Fame, so yeah.
I know. Stop with that. Russell Westbrook and Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
And Ben Wallace way past his prime, obviously. I didn't even remember Ben Wallace.
Dwight Howard was the backup center on that Lakers team that won the title behind what's the crazy guy's name?
JaVale McGee?
Yeah. And so Dwight Howard then with the Lakers, think about this, was better than any center that LeBron ever played. That Michael Jordan ever played with, ever. In a center's era. Longley, Cartwright, Winnington.
LeBron's backup center for the bubble ring Lakers was better than any center that Michael Jordan ever played with.
In fact, significantly better.
Was he better than Jahidi White in Washington?
Yeah. That's
all right. Here is Dwight Howard's numbers. Yeah, I don't know. He was 7 and 7.
He was a better player, period.
Yeah, he was probably a better player. Because if he'd have started, he'd have been 14 and 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. He was 7 and 7 in 18 minutes, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Dude, so he would have probably been 14 and 11, 14 and 12.
Yeah.
I don't remember Luke Longley or Cartwright or Winnington or Joe Klein or any of those dudes doing that.
Purdue. Yeah.
Will Purdue. Right. You know, it's kind of funny, though, that their careers started off on the same trajectory, and it's the same trajectory as Luka Doncic. And the reason stay with me here, it's that you just hate that so many years were wasted with dog mess around them.
Yeah.
You know, you hate it that, Boozer, I think, kind of stiffed LeBron and chased the money in Utah, if I recall.
Yeah.
And so his only real, true, early legitimate teammate, I guess, is Big Z. Zydrunas was a good player. Again, Zydrunas clearly miles better than any center that Jordan played with.
Thank you.
But LeBron had spent so many wasted years with no teammates. Jordan spent so many wasted years. If you'd have looked at it after that number of years and you'd have said, well, he's going to have 6 rings, you'd have said, there's no way he's going to have 6 rings.
Yep.
And the same thing can be said for LeBron. Now, LeBron, arranged for those rings in a completely different way. They're still rings, and he still won them, but there was some finagling, some maneuvering, some, GMing going on by LeBron to get those rings. Do you think how much does that tarnish his legacy?
Well, the comparison with MJ, it makes it not one. It's kind of like we were talking about the other day, actually, and this will be an interesting topic, I think, for the viewers, is we both agree that the longer LeBron plays, as long as accolades do not stack up, he can stack up all the stats he wants to. The gap widens between him and
Agreed. Explain why you say that. I 100% agree with you, and not a lot of people will say that because this is mostly going to be the LeBron nut sweaters, but they're going to say, every year he adds to his legacy. Every year he adds to his statistical dominance.
Right.
He does add to his statistical dominance, but he does not add to his legacy because it's one more year he needed to win the same amount of rings. So instead of, it's like Jordan won 6 out of whatever 13. Right. LeBron is 4 out of 20 or whatever it is.
Yep.
It's going to be 4 out of 24 is going to look worse than 4 out of 20. And by the way, neither one of us, and we're big Jordan homers, would ever argue that statistically, as a body of work, start to finish, that Jordan is in the same realm as LeBron James. He's not.
Or anybody else.
Prime, Totally different deal. There's a lot of ways to look at prime years, their best 6, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. But like start to finish, dude, he's like Jordan and Karl Malone combined. Yep. But what LeBron's done, and we probably should have led off with this because a lot of LeBron, jockeys will, think that we're just two old guys just like riding, Jordan's nuts. But I think he's the second greatest player of all time. You have him in front of Kareem, right?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
You have Kareem in front of Wilt?
I do. Yeah. 6 titles, 6 MVPs. It's different. I mean, and so Wilt's the only guy statistically that can say that LeBron's not in his category, right?
That's correct.
That's it.
That's correct.
But LeBron is whoever number 3 is statistically, and I guess it would probably be Kareem, I guess. They're really, really, really far off from LeBron. So, but the point is, so you asked me to explain why I said that. It is really simple. Jordan has 5 MVPs. LeBron has 4. Okay. I do not want to hear about the Wizard years. Don't talk to me about them. They're 2 years that Jordan should have never played, and nobody ever thought he was coming back to win an MVP during that time.
Hey, how about let's say this. What if he wanted to come back in those years? What if he'd have gone to the Spurs?
Yeah.
There's 2 more rings. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is like that's the difference between Jordan and LeBron. Jordan came back to make his franchise that he was the owner of, partial owner, minority owner of, better.
Right.
And LeBron, when he jumps to a team that's on the uptick, or
that's the other
create a team on the uptick.
Right. That's what I'm leading to. So,
yeah.
So LeBron has 4 rings. Jordan has 6 in 13 years, 4 in 20, like you said. And those 4 rings were with LeBron finding teams and filling them with star players that he could win with. I heard Jerry Krause interviewed, rest his soul, the other day, that he said, look, me and MJ, we didn't have, we bumped heads a lot and whatever. He said, but I'll tell you what, one thing Michael Jordan never did was come to me and say, you need to trade for a player.
He never said it.
A player. He said he never did it one time. All he wanted to do was beat those guys. That was it. And I get it. It's a different era and all that, but it hurts LeBron's legacy, in my opinion, when it comes to the GOAT conversation only. That's it.
I'm going to ask you a question that I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask this, and this is why the Cajun Cardboard channel is special, and this is going to be very clippable, so pay attention. What if LeBron had never left Cleveland? What if he had never left Cleveland? What if he's in year 20 or 21 or whatever he's in, and he had never left Cleveland, Jonathan?
Okay.
I think he might have more than 4.
More than 4 rings?
I do.
I think
with the right GM, with the right management, just staying in one place, I think he has he made his bed and he's got to lie in it. Did he get a ring because he went to LA? Yes. Did he get a ring because he formed a super team in Miami? Yes, 2 of them. Yeah. But if he'd have just stayed there and been demanded this, and if they'd have, kind of like kept the young talent, think of all the changes that were made when he moved from one place to another, because he's played with 3 franchises, but he's made 4 moves. Right. And every time you make a move, you're starting over. A new coach, a new roster, a new system, a new, 0-player chemistry. You're starting over. What if they'd have stayed in Cleveland? What if they would have kept, Tyronn Lue the whole time? Or I don't know, maybe that's not right. But, what if he'd have just stayed in one place, had that consistency, and then people would have gravitated to him? I just feel like, I know nobody does that now, but Dirk did it. Of course, Dirk's only got 1, but LeBron's a lot better than Dirk. I think LeBron might have had more than 4 if he'd have stayed in Cleveland. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that.
You could probably argue that, but the problem is, I do believe at the time, whenever he first was in Cleveland, there was such a stigma against Cleveland, right? Nobody wanted to go to Cleveland, period. And so that's why I think if that would have been the case, I think Wade and Bosch would have gone to Cleveland instead of him going to Miami.
My point. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they were going, though. That's my point. I don't think they were leaving. So because today's generation of player, they're attracted to the bigger market. Now, granted, I know you could say, well, look at OKC and look at this and look at that.
Milwaukee. Yeah, market doesn't mean as much, but quality of life does matter, right? Correct. Quality of life does matter, and state taxes do matter. What if LeBron James had been drafted by Dallas? He stayed in Dallas 20 years. What if he'd have been drafted by the Lakers? What if he'd have been drafted by the freaking Miami Heat? I think 4 is an undersell. I think LeBron would have 6 or 7, and I think we'd be having a very different conversation right now.
What if the Blazers had drafted Jordan instead of Sam Bowie?
What if Luke Longley had a 65-inch vertical leap?
Oof, that's tough. What if Stacey King was right-handed?
He would not be the historic name that he is today. All right, there's more to talk about. So here's a graphic that I wanted to share with you, and I got to give credit where credit's due because this really is a nice little synopsis. Okay, my friend?
Yeah, I like it.
All right, here we go. I am on a page called Fadeaway World. So
Yes.
thank you, Fadeaway World. I'm just sharing a really cool – I've never been to this site in my life.
Yeah.
But it's got a nice graphic up here. And it's clear this is from 2020, by the way.
Yes.
So this is very old. But from 2020, and it's very pro-Jordan here, probably anti-LeBron as well. It's not exactly objective. But if you look at the stats over here, there's what they think are Jordan's 5 best teammates. They've got Kerr in there. That's fine, whatever. Never made an all-star team, 8 points a game. Tony Kukoc, never made an all-star team. Never made an all-star team, Hall of Famer, 14 points a game. Horace Grant, 1 all-star team, 12 points a game. It was with the Magic, I'm assuming, because he never made it with Jordan.
No, he
Rodman made 2 in 14 years, 5 points a game, 15 rebounds a game. Yeah. They should probably put defensive, all defensive teams for Pippen and Rodman, but they didn't. And then Pippen, they've got 17.7, 7-time All-Star. And then look at the All-Star teams, just the top 5. And again, this doesn't include the 3 or 4 that Anthony Davis has made after 2020. Right. It doesn't include Kyrie Irving. He might have made 1 or 2. I don't know. But this adds up to 20, 26, 37, 47. Am I doing this right? 20, 26, 37, 47, 49 All-Star teams.
I just want to do this, though. And this is going to sound like it's
49 to 10?
Yeah, but it's misleading, okay? It actually ends up being all the same relative because just do it for how many All-Star teams did they make when they played with those guys, right? So
a lot more.
Pippen made 6 total, okay? When he
7.
played with – 6 total when he played with Jordan.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, 6. He played.
He did. He did make 6
with Houston. He made 6 with Jordan. Okay. Well, I say that. I'm sorry. You're right because he made it the 2 years that Jordan was out. So 4, right? We said 4 earlier. Okay. How many did Rodman never made 1? Horace Grant didn't make 1. That's it, dude. That's it. Okay. These other guys, Dwayne Wade made the All-Star team every year with LeBron. AD's made the All-Star team every year with LeBron, right? So these guys were more effective, obviously, as individual players than these dudes were with Chicago. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's all there is to it. It'd be one thing. Look, you could argue it the other way. If Horace Grant went to Orlando and made 4 All-Star teams, and you're like, oh, he's better without Jordan. No, he didn't. He didn't do that. So that's all there is to it. I mean, that's it.
I've got a problem. This may be the end of our video. I can't move my cursor. We're still recording, so we're good. But my cursor is not moving because I have I guess maybe my battery went dead.
Really? Interesting. Oh, so that means you can't give me control of it either.
I can't do anything. And in fact, we've got this background for the rest of our video, so that's bad. So I guess our video is done. I think we made our point, Jonathan. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Like I'm trying to.
There is not. It was over when you said Scottie Pippen. That was it because then there wasn't anybody else to talk about for Jordan.
I don't know. I don't know how to do. I don't know what's happening here. Yeah, I'm stuck. We're stuck. We're stuck. It's over. And I don't even know how to end the recording. We may have to just record forever. Okay, well, that's it. That's the end of our video. Let us know. There's a million different directions we could go. We could have talked for 3 hours about this. We just wanted to kind of elucidate and shed a little light on just how big the disparity is between the teammates of these two guys. Again, Jonathan, it's just one argument, right? It's just one argument. There's tons of arguments in LeBron's favor. There's tons of arguments in Jordan's favor. We just feel like with the preponderance of the evidence, right, that it kind of leans in the direction of Jordan. Do we wish LeBron would have stayed in one place and done it the same way as Jordan so you can make a nice apples-to-apples comparison? Sure. Do we wish Jordan hadn't retired so we could see if he'd have won 8 in a row? Maybe he would have. Maybe he wouldn't have. If you had to gamble right now, do you think they'd have won 8 in a row?
Yeah.
I don't think they would have.
Well, I don't. Let's just say this. I'm not going to bet against him.
I would have bet against it.
You think the Rockets would have beaten him?
No, I didn't say that. I just don't think they'd have gotten to 8.
So the Knicks, who had the same team but worse in those 2 years, and went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No.
You think?
No, listen. It's not that simple. There's more to it. You've got to look into Jordan getting a year and a half of basketball body rest, mental rest, getting out of the spotlight rest. If Jordan had tacked on that much more mental, that much more physical, and then again, maybe he would have just not been able to pull off 7 and 8 in 97 and 98 is what I'm saying.
And I get the argument for that. I'm just saying who was going to beat them. That's all.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the Jazz get one. I mean, it ain't like they beat the Jazz by 47. You know what I mean? I know nobody went to a game 7. I get all that. I'm just saying, Jonathan, there's a lot to be said for him taking that almost full 2 years off, Jonathan. That's a big deal.
I do agree, and I think it did help him for the second three-peat. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying I don't know who would have beaten him. That's all.
The other argument would be, what if he hadn't retired in 98? What if he just kept that? They'd have just kept going. They might have won 2 more there too. So they missed out on 2 in 94 and 95.
Yep.
And then, Jordan could have. Rodman's old. Pippen's obviously on the way down, and his contract was up, so he was gone anyway. What if Phil has said, "Yeah, let's run it back"? Pippen's gone. Rodman's gone. They bring in fill in the blank. Who was good in 98? I don't know. You can't pull Dirk or any of those guys, but maybe you pull a second tier guy over. Maybe Jordan wins one with Kenyon Martin in 2001.
Well, think about this. The next year was the strike shortened season.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. So they might could have pulled that one out.
99?
Yeah, they only played 50 games that year. So
damn, they could have pulled that one out and given Jordan some extra rest to start his third three-peat.
Yep.
Man, isn't it funny how subtle history is? Like, our lives are very fickle and very subtle. And, you think about when you met your wife, what if you hadn't been there, where you were when, there's all kinds of stuff like that in our lives. And it's the same way with, NBA basketball history. What if Bill Russell had a compulsion to go film an old Western movie, and he fell off his horse and the horse kicked him and killed him in 1958? Wilt Chamberlain, for God's sakes, we might not be doing this video today, Jonathan. You know why? Because nobody would care who was better between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. You know why? Because Wilt Chamberlain might have 14 rings and the best statistics ever.
Yeah, what are we doing right now? Look,
I just want the world to know that Wilt Chamberlain was a victim of circumstance. He was born. Everybody's like, it was the wrong era. He was in the era to do that. He was in the era to do that. Dude, he got screwed more than anybody.
Dude,
he got screwed more than anybody because he had to face the freaking Boston Celtics. The Celtics had more Hall of Famers than LeBron had All-Stars.
To our 3 remaining viewers, I apologize.
How about this? I don't have a mouse cursor anymore. Do you know how you feel when you don't know where your phone is and you need to check your phone? I need to check my phone. I don't have it. I feel weird. I can't move my mouse. I don't know how to end this recording.
I know how to end it on my end. I do know how to end it on my end.
Oh, I know how to. Yeah, you're going to have to just leave. I'm going to have to do some kind of Control-Alt-Delete thing or something. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully we don't lose this video because this is a good one. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks as always. Guys, hit the subscribe button if you like these long-form podcasts. 46 minutes is very short for us, Jonathan.
Yes, it is.
And we could have talked for 3 or 4 more hours. I didn't pull up my end of the research, but you did a good job of carrying the weight.
We could have also talked for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. We could have just ended it after the introduction and said, did I mention that LeBron's teammates have 379 All-Stars combined? Jordan's have like 11.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace.